Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Topic 2 is regarding demand and supply, or also known as pricing theory. Demand and supply is an economic model which states that the price at which a good is sold determined by the good supply and its demand. Both demand and supply are very important for the economy because they impact the prices of consumer goods or services within an economy. Demand can be defined as the ability and willingness to buy specific quantities of goods in a given period of time at a particular price, ceteris paribus. Demand differs from desire, want, wish, and the like. The person who desires or wants to have a product must have the ability to buy and must be willing to pay for the product. Only then is that desire called a demand. What is law of demand? Law of demand states that the higher the price of a good, the lower the quantity demanded for that good, and the lower the price, quantity demanded is higher, ceteris paribus. For example, if the price of chicken decreases, the quantity demand for chicken will increase. The consumer will prefer to buy more chickens when these are cheaper. At the same time, a consumer's purchasing power increases since he or she can save more money when the price of chicken falls. So how to draw the demand curve? Let's look at the demand schedule. Here is the example of demand schedule. At price 9 ringgit, the quantity demanded is only 2 units. At price 8 ringgit and 50 cent, the quantity demanded for this product is 4 units. While at price 7 ringgit, the quantity demanded for this product is 10 units. In order to draw the demand curve, we have to draw y-axis and x-axis. Y-axis for price, x-axis for quantity. And we can start plot the data on the graph. Therefore, you will get the downward sloping demand curve. There are two types of demand. First, individual demand, which can be defined as the relationship between the quantity of a good demanded by a single individual and its price. While market demand can be defined as the relationship between the total quantity of a good demanded by adding all the quantities demanded by all consumers in the market and its price. So how to look at the relationship between the individual demand and market demand? Let's look at this table. There are 5 different prices for good X. From 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. Second column shows the total quantity demanded of good X by consumer A, while the third column shows the total quantity demanded of good X by customer B, and the last column shows the market demand for good X at each price level. So the first graph shows the demand curve for customer A for good X. Second graph shows the demand curve by customer B for good X. While the third curve shows the market demand curve for both demands, customer A and B. Do you know that change in quantity demanded and change in demand are two different things? Change in quantity demanded is a situation where you can see there will be movement along the same demand curve. The movement along the same demand curve from one point to another point happen because of price change, not because of other factors change. For example, at point A, and here is point B. This is what we call as upward movement from point A to point B. This is known as decrease in quantity demanded, or also known as contraction in demand. Let's say we have another point here, point C. If there is a movement from point A to point C, it means the quantity demanded is increased, which is also known as expansion in demand. While change in demand is a situation where it will cause the demand curve to change. It will shift the demand curve to left or to right. Change in demand will happen only when there are changes in other factors but not the price of the good. For example, the number of residents in Kuala Lumpur increase. Logically, it will cause the demand curve to shift to right. But if the demand decrease, it will shift the demand curve to left. What are the factors that can change demand? Here we have 7 determinants of demand. The first one is price of related goods. Related goods can be referred to the goods and services that can be related to each other in two ways. It could be substitute or complementary. Let me give you an example of substitute good, coffee and tea. If the price of coffee increase, the quantity demanded for coffee will be decreased, and people will substitute coffee with tea. Let's look at this example. Here I show you the demand curve for tea. Here we have price and quantity demanded. Initially, the demand curve for tea is at D0. But because of people have substituted coffee with tea, therefore the demand curve will shift rightward to D1. It shifted rightward. Second determinant of demand is consumer income. Consumer's income is the most influencing factor to demand. Income can be represented by Y. For example, if your income increase, Y increase, therefore the demand for all products will also increase. But we have to look at the different types of goods. There are few types of goods. First is known as normal good, second, necessities, third, luxury good, and fourth, inferior goods. For inferior goods, the relationship between Y and demand will be negative. The third factor is known as taste and fashion. Taste and fashion of consumers change significantly. If a product becomes more fashionable, and the demand for it will increase, and if the same product becomes outdated, the demand for it will fall. Factor number 4 is about population or number of buyers. The higher the number of population, the higher is the demand. For example, the population in Johor Bahru increases. Therefore, the demand for houses, bus services, train services, and other goods and services will also increase. And of course, it will shift the demand curve to right. Factor number 5 is about expectation, and it is normally related to the future price of a product. The higher the expected future price of a product, the higher the current demand for that product, and vice versa. For example, when the government plans to increase the price of petrol the following week, the present demand for petrol will immediately increase. Factor number 6 is about advertisement. Advertised goods normally have a higher demand because of awareness. Consumers will only buy goods and services when they are aware of the existence of those products. And surely it will attract people to the goods and services. And the last factor here is festive seasons and climate. During festive season, different product will be in high demand. For example, during Hari Raya festival, the demand for lemang, for chicken, for coconut milk will be increased. Whereas during Chinese New Year, the demand for mandarin oranges will be greater. Now, we go to exceptional demand. Exceptional demand can be defined as a situation where when the price of a product increases, the demand will also increase. And it is again the law of demand. Exceptional demand occurs in several instances. The first one is given goods. Given goods or inferior goods are normally consumed by those in the lower income group because this is known as low-grade goods. For example, a person from the lower income groups will spend a major portion of his or her income on given goods and a smaller portion of his or her income on other superior commodities. Second one is status symbol goods. This type of good normally will be purchased by higher income groups, not so much for satisfaction, but to show their status. For example, diamond, world famous paintings, and business class seats for the airline service. Speculation. If the price of a product is increases and it is expected to increase further in the near future, consumer will buy more of the product now, even at the higher price. For example, if consumer in Malaysia expect the price of rice to increase further in another week, so they will purchase more rice to store. And the last one here is emergencies. During emergencies such as war, natural disasters, and current situation now is COVID-19 pandemic. So you can see people will buy more goods even though the prices of these goods are high before the movement control order begin on 18 March 2020.